you can't even go as deep as talking about getting raped every day or living under violence. Like, I've had PTSD since I was very young for obvious reasons.
We're talking about human trafficking. Hello, everybody. Here's Elena Berman with Let's Talk. And today I would love to talk about a very important topic, and it is related for everybody. Some of the people still don't realize that we have such life which is going in parallel to our lives. But a lot of people who've been through it, they exist, but not everybody can talk for themselves for many reasons. And I've been lucky to meet this beautiful woman. She is actually, she looked like a child, honestly. She's so young and she's very smart. But most important, I would love if you would hear her story. And please, I never ask anybody to share my videos, but in this time, I would love to ask you and share this video because might be helping to somebody, because we will explain a lot of things which will be helpful for everybody. So let me introduce you, very wonderful person outside and inside, my new friend, Chalisa Prarasri, right?
Yes.
Hello, darling. Thank you very much for your time. I know you are so busy. And I will say a couple of words about you. You are a magnificent woman in the business world and scientific world, which is helping humanity. But before that beautiful ending, something happened in your life. And I would love to ask a lot of questions. And please, Chalisa, tell me, how did it start? And we're talking about human trafficking.
Yeah, so I was born to a very wealthy family in Thailand, and I was taken away when I was 4 years old. I grew up in Bangkok, and I was left homeless in San Francisco's Tenderloin, which is a pretty dangerous area, um, when I was 6. And I went through a lot of terrible things, got taken out of the homeless shelter by a man who was spending life in prison for what he did to me. And, but when I was 17, I went to Stanford during high school. And then when I was 18, I went to UCLA, started my research in neuroscience. And when I was 23, I started a company that Forbes called the new must have in wearable tech. So, it's not all bad stuff. It's just my start was pretty rough.
Could you please explain a little bit more about this, that people will be aware what to look for? Because you never know who is around you. It can be your boyfriend, it can be your family member, it can be your neighbor, or maybe will be hired for the work. And I
Yeah.
know myself, people who I was supporting through the action on human trafficking, against human trafficking, people been hiring at work.
Yeah. So I was taken out of the homeless shelter by a man. He seemed really good on the outside. He graduated from NYU. He was an electrical engineer. He had a business. I was hoping that this would be my dad. Um, and he
So
turned
you
out,
like him, right? You
well, I mean, he took me out of the homeless shelter, right? So I had to like him. It was different from not having food and not having a home. And I immediately got a job in his office making 50 cents an hour sorting floppy disks. And
at
that
four
was
years old?
6.
Oh, 6.
Um, and that's when he started taking advantage of me in the office. And so my mom, who brought me to the US, she would leave me with him during the day.
She didn't
And
know.
she knew.
She knew what he's doing,
She knew that he was a pedophile.
and she was okay with that. So basically, she knew that you are suffering and you cannot talk to her about this.
No, because he made me feel as if it was my fault this was being done to me.
And what is the fault? Could
As in, like, well, for example, if I wanted to go on a field trip and you need this parent's signature, uh, like the parent's permission, I had to trade a blowjob for it. Like um, I was coerced. And you might know that, like in California and Hawaii, that type of coercive control has now been made illegal.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. So how did you get out from this mess? And how many years you've been trapped?
Uh, 7 to 18, so 11 years. Um, and the only way I got out was because I married. I married, and another family took me in because before that, um, I was living off of this NYU guy.
So let me straighten it up because I still cannot get it. You had the wealthy family and your mother knew where you are. Why she didn't take you out?
Her dream was to create something in the United States and to have money here and to have a house here. And it didn't matter to her who got hurt along the way. And
But you can join her in this venture, right?
I what?
You can join her in this venture because she was building her dream. So you could be with her and she could do whatever she wants, any business in America.
I was with her, but she,
Okay.
I was an object. I was something to be used to get this man to pay for our livelihood. I was something to be used to um, have men take an interest in her and marry her to get her green card. And then, like, my family woke up one day and I was just gone and they couldn't find me for 12 years. I, funny story, it was a fortune teller that led to all of this. Funnily enough, in Thailand, fortune tellers are like a big deal.
Hmm.
And my mom was walking down the street, and a fortune teller stopped her, looked at me, and said, "This child is going to grow up in another country, loving her father more than her mother. And she's going to achieve success, but you won't be a part of it," they said to my mom. And she got angry, and it was like my family heard about that fortune teller, and then a few weeks later I was gone.
So you decided on your own.
No, my mom decided on her own that I was four. I couldn't decide anything.
It's you see, I even question and again, maybe the same question because it's hard for me to comprehend such
Like,
a behavior.
why would someone do that, right? It's someone who has lived through significant traumas in their childhood, perpetuating it on someone else.
Oh, she had the same. She had the same problem.
I suspect.
So you basically couldn't talk to her because you could ask, Mom, why are you doing this to me? Or when you grow up, you can say, My mom, why did you do this to me?
I did. She's very violent. She's a very violent person.
Wow.
And so I grew up with like sexual assault on one side and like gun knife violence on the other side.
So basically, it's like more than bullying. So she was psycho, or this is her kind of attitude to win.
Yeah, it's just a I want a house in the US and nothing's going to stop me.
Ask husband then, right? And he can buy, or you didn't have a dad at that time.
I had a dad, but she left him and then he got sick. So he got sick and died in 2017. I never got to meet him.
I'm so sorry for your story, but I like that you overcame. Could you explain what did you feel in a long time? I know it was maybe a lot of different emotions and how they changed over time and what emotion saved you.
So when that man, my stepfather, got put into prison and was sentenced to 36 years in prison under 13 felonies for what he did to me, he I I felt only guilt about putting my own stepfather in prison for life. Because there's something called child grooming that terrible people do. They groom the child to love them and care about them despite the terrible things that they do to the child. And my mom was extremely violent towards my stepdad, and he would always let me stand in front of him and take the blows.
Unbelievable. But
But I
okay,
initially
you
felt
loved him, but
I
how
loved him.
did you feel about yourself?
I felt like I had done something that children should never do and defied their parents, defied my parents. And it took me, see, I was 25 when he was sentenced for life. And it took me 4 years after that to sort of put my thoughts together and understand that this was a terrible thing that was done to me and stop victim blaming myself. Because the thing is that you get victim blamed, or like growing up, I got victim blamed all the time. And so I started victim blaming myself. And it took me a really long time to get out of that mindset and start to understand that I had no choice in the matter. I was a child.
Who did help you? Did you do therapy?
I did therapy in the last 4 years, but and UCLA had a really great mental health center. When I went to UCLA, I was part of a program for Southeast Asian children. So it was a special program where I had mentorship. I had like the idea was to prevent us from dropping out of UCLA. And I almost dropped out right before I graduated. I almost dropped out because of the severe depression that I've had my whole life. Um, but I didn't. And I graduated with my bachelor's of science in neuroscience, which is one of the hardest majors,
Yes.
with a minor in biomedical research, where I got a PhD level amount of experience doing scientific experiments.
I am so proud of you. This is so accomplishment on many levels. And when I met you, I don't know, something drawn me to you. Do you remember how we met?
Yeah, in the bathroom.
Yes, in the hotel. So something is unique, but I noticed you in the hall long before when I entered in the bathroom. So something in your presence, and I noticed that you are very calm and very, very confident. This is what I felt. And you know what you're doing. So you're very interested in your world. This is the best thing and the best feeling for everybody when you're feeling confident in your world and you're interested in doing things. And especially when you're making things happen for humanity, and this is the good stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I most of the time I'm very excited about the world, but I still also like depression is kind of like diabetes, right? It's a symptom of something that has gone wrong in your body, and it's just something that needs to be managed. Like I've had PTSD since I was very young for obvious reasons. Um, and a lot of people don't achieve success after having gone through so many things that cause mental health disorders. For example, every 45 seconds, someone in the world commits suicide. And I've lived through this. I've lived through wanting to die. I mean, like if you grow up with a dad who's raping you every day, you want to die, right? Um, and that's actually why I made this necklace. It's a smart necklace that promotes mental health, because at the end of the day, like your life can be perfect, but if something in your mind is not right, you need treatment, you need help. You need someone to hold your hand, someone to be there for you, someone to hear you. And there's a really like the pandemic and overpopulation of the world has led to more lonely people and more lonely people who want to die. And there are so many people like me who just, we're young, we're women, we're people of color, and we get dismissed for the way that we feel. We get dismissed for the things that are going on in our heads. And I want to prevent that.
It's a wonderful message. Could you explain a little bit more what that device does and how people and where they can buy it, maybe?
So I just got an investment to relaunch it earlier this week. So 4 years ago, I got bitten by a tick and as I was in the forest, I got bitten by a bug and I got a disease called Lyme disease. It's a hidden epidemic. There are a lot of women, especially who have been bitten by ticks, got these symptoms, and doctors keep on telling them that the illness is in their heads. And so 4 years ago, that happened to me. I was young, I was pretty, and so doctors were like, "You're not sick. There's nothing wrong with you." I was in a wheelchair for 4 years.
Wow.
And luckily I had this device. I had developed it when I was 23, and so we had a prototype, and I was able to use this device to measure my posture, which also includes, am I sitting up straight? Am I laying down? Am I like walking? Right? And I would say like this is me lying down all day every day for months, and you want to tell me there's nothing wrong with me? So initially, this device was just tracking me, right? Just so that I could show my data to doctors. But what I want to make it is into something that tracks the way we live our lives and starts to use AI to learn about what we're doing. Like it measures UV, for example, so we can tell if you've gone outside. It measures your location so that your family members can check where you are if they need to. And it's HIPAA compliant, which means that it's medically private.
So nobody can have access to that information, right? Where it's
Exactly.
stored.
Exactly. It's your own information. You own your information, which is very important to me because right now cybersecurity is a big problem.
Yes, it is. You're doing not only this business, and I like that you have a very interesting story with your CLA. Could you tell me about your love story? What happened there?
Um, my last story at UCL, the app,
Love story, love
oh,
story.
my love story. Huh. I got married there. Um, it's not a good love story. It's a tragic love story. I
Oh, I
got
didn't know that it's tragic. I thought you are still together.
no, I got married when I was 19, and usually getting married when you're 19 is a mistake. Um, I got married when I was 19, was married for 10 years, and I was just divorced as of January 1st this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I had grown up in very violent households, and so I guess it made sense that I married into one.
Oh,
And
got it.
it took me 10 years to escape that.
Wow. So you kind of go into the pattern. It's like your emotional patterns, which is lead you to the same personality.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Is that like I grew up with a Caucasian man who insisted that he knew everything and told me how to live my life. And then I married a Caucasian man who also went to a really great university, who told me how to live my life and controlled me the entire time. And both were instances of something called emotional abuse, which, as I mentioned, has been made illegal in California and Hawaii in 2020. Because as a neuroscientist, I can tell you it's like hacking someone's brain. Emotional abuse is hacking someone's brain and not giving them choices over their own lives. And like there are a variety of things that people do to keep you in this cycle. For example, disconnecting you from your family, disconnecting you from your loved ones so that you have no one to talk to, you only have them. And this is something that my stepdad did to me growing up, disconnected me from my mom. And so I couldn't talk to her about what he was doing to me. And I am under I am legally bound to not talk about my ex-husband.
Unbelievable. So sorry to have the same situation, but I think it's maybe sounds maybe weird to you. I think you had to go through that in order to try how you can manage yourself. I'm sure you did better this time,
I
isn't
think
it?
I had to go through that because the alternative would have been that I lived through or I achieved a lot of success in my 31 years on this earth. And most people who achieve this much success, I became a CEO when I was 23. I went to Stanford when I was 17. I started college when I was 12. Like people who have these successes, they don't usually have the flip side, right? Like you get all of the success because you were lucky your whole life. But I was unlucky my whole life and I achieved the success, which to me, I think is a reason why I need to share how I did it so that other people can get out of that cycle themselves and 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 rise up.
What is your advice?
What?
What is your advice would be for anybody who are on the difficult side of their life, how they can manage them to grow to success?
You learn to love and respect yourself. Because if you don't love and respect yourself, maybe you grew up like me, not being loved and respected. If you don't love and respect yourself, no one is going to love and respect you for you. You have to start it. And so I want to teach self love because I feel like that's the answer to wanting to die. Because if you love yourself too much to want to kill yourself, well, then you stay alive another day. And I think self love is something that needs to be more accessible. People need to not be told that they're being narcissistic for liking something about themselves, for not being the standard of pretty, but believing that they are pretty themselves. Like it's in our heads how we view ourselves. And unfortunately, the way we view ourselves changes the way other people view us. And so it starts inside, it starts within.
It is. It is. And everybody can do it. And you don't have to be, in a difficult situation. You can start right now to love yourself and, of course, others. So, also, I wanted to give a warning about people who maybe from this story would pay attention around, because I know that, for example, people who are being taken for sex traffic, they have a certain sign by hand. Do you know about this?
I do not, because my stepfather was alone.
Yeah, he's actually legally took you. But if this has happened not legally or something, I know that people have a hand, for example, fist, like this. So this shows somehow it should be down or up. Pay attention to this sign. And if something happened, if person showing that, usually it's a child or maybe even grown, and they cannot talk about this. So pay attention. And actually, we need to pay attention more to life events in our life instead of going to the phone, right?
And we
That's
need
why
to,
people don't recognize anything.
yeah, and we need to pay attention to people who seem like their life might be off, because I grew up being told I was spoiled. Like everyone around, like I got a car when I was 16. Like my mom did a lot of things to make it look like I was spoiled so that it could hide what was actually happening at home. And so, like, I just want to warn people against judging others, being like, that person is so privileged and so, you don't know what's happening in their home. I was in high school, I was in middle school, I had all these friends. I was a really popular kid, and I was being raped every day.
Yeah. And you cannot talk about this, by the way, to your friends,
No,
right?
no one wants to hear it. No one cares.
Could you please explain me this? Nobody cares because you started to talk about this and they say, oh, come on, you are just fantasizing or something.
No one cares because if you even say a mildly bad thing about your life and you're privileged, people think, oh, it's just a privileged person not understanding their privilege. And so as you can't even go as deep as talking about getting raped every day or living under violence, because people are just like, well, you have a car and you're 16. You have clothes on your back. You have food to eat. There are things that are more valuable than food and items, like your freedom.
Would you like to exchange the places? I would ask them, you know?
Exactly, right? Would you like to change places with me? Go home from school every day and get raped and have a gun pointed at you and knives flying around, like you do it. But
Wow.
that's
Basically, this is hello, people. You stop about envy, what people have, because you don't know what price they paid for that. And we know a lot of situations like that. And it's not only in children's life, it's about adult life as well. Like some women envy to another one, but
it's domestic violence is such a big problem. And during COVID, when people were locked down with their families, it escalated and so many more people died and committed suicide. Like it is just a hidden epidemic.
yeah. So what is your plans? And I know that you have another business. Is it juicing or something?
Oh no, that's one I invested in. But I am currently working on relaunching this smart necklace. It's going to be, I'm really excited for it. It's going to be the mental health wearable. So Fitbit's the physical health wearable. We're going to be the mental health wearable. We're going to help with self-love, self-care, taking like, not just the activity side of it, but the meditation side, the posture side, the self-love side.
So how
And
does it tell you, given the sound or given you vibration, certain that you will fix yourself about posture, for example?
it, for example, your brain responds to how you behave. It's sort of like when you smile, even if you don't feel like smiling, it tells your brain that there's a smile and there's a reason for smiling, right? And so if you're not confident, if you stand up straight,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, because I'm not as confident as I look. I think it's funny that you found me so confident. I'm not as confident as I look, but I have excellent posture because my very first
Exactly.
job was my very first job was as a model and actress.
You know
And so
how to act. And by the way, this is number one first aid in depression, to put on your smile and to stay straight. And people did researches, a lot researches. They cured depression in 10 minutes if you just standing straight. This is how powerful. And plus, if you will put on a smile on your face.
well, they can't cure
I
depression
mean,
in 10
you feel
minutes,
much better.
but they can improve it. Depression is a long-term thing, right? Major depressive disorder, it gets diagnosed if it doesn't stop for 6 months on end.
Is it possible to take out from depression, for example, in your case, without medication?
Of course, there are spiritual ways to do it. Medication is sort of like having a crutch, having a wheelchair to like help you get there, help you feel what it's like to be there. And then when you start to get it together yourself, then you can start to reduce those medications. But it's a work in progress. It's like I know for me, for example, I was like, I just want to get cured. I just want to get cured. But the truth is, it's sort of like not having a leg. Like I relate having depression to trying to smile with no face.
Oh, wow.
It's like there is something in your brain that is not letting you. And so you can smile all you want, but if you don't feel the smile, but it's what you do every day, right? So maybe not just smile for 10 minutes and get better, but smile a little more every day. Love yourself a little more every day. Make incremental changes, and eventually you'll get closer and closer to where you want to be.
It's like working on your muscles. Every day you put a little bit more exercises, and then you will
Exactly.
become stronger.
Exactly.
Especially
The brain
on the
is a muscle.
yeah. So it's your mental muscle. It's your emotional muscle.
Exactly that. Just
Yes,
like
wonderful. So what you would like to add to your story, and maybe you have some message to people or advice. Could you share it, please?
I have lived through so many things that I've tried to kill myself many, many times in my life. And my message is that sometimes when everything seems lost, you're on the cusp of discovering something new that will change your life. And the bad things, they just make the good things come faster. Like the challenges, they're part of the journey. Enjoy the journey. Don't look for the destination. Find, like look out the window and be like, I am in a beautiful place right now. Like, even if everything is going to be terrible tomorrow, even if everything was terrible yesterday, it's good right now. So I'm going to appreciate that. I would say the way that you choose to view your life is everything. And so we have a chance in that to make our lives better just by wishing it were better and not focusing on the negative. But that's, that's a really hard thing to do, and it's a really long term work in progress. So like, even me, I was depressed yesterday. Like, it's just it's it's okay. It's okay to have mental health problems. You can still be happy, you can still be alive. Just don't give up yet. There's nothing.
Call me when you will be depressed. Don't hesitate. Please
Thank you.
call me anytime. Okay.
Well, I call myself a happy depressive. I've been depressed my whole life, but I'm so excited about the world. I'm so excited to help lead the world into the future by creating my technologies. Like, there's two sides to every coin.
I think you can take uh, and reverse your depression situation like that. For example, you can say it's like in the computer, you're taking time to restart what you already have inside of you, and you kind of make it order in order that next day to do something new. So you're basically downloading certain information, and then it should be stopped and organized. So you call this depression, but in reality, your process over here just take time to organize everything. So
Yes, I like that. Sometimes it's just your brain processing stuff and it's painful during, but maybe you'll like the solution.
so when you are conscious about yourself and what you're feeling, I think everything will be fine. And if you will measure time, how long it takes for you to be in that feeling or in that kind of situation, and then you registered, oh, it took for me now a little bit less time than it was. Oh, was not even that bad. Oh, and one day maybe it will not feel like depression.
Or it will always feel like depression, but one day it won't bother you.
That's right. That's right. It will not bother you. This is what I wish you, that it will not bother you. And if this is visited you, only just to restart your computer. That's all.
I think I was meant to experience it so I could stop it.
Yeah, and everybody have to experience as much as they can on, of course, on the will inside, not when somebody is forcing you, but sometimes it is the case. As much as possible, different feelings, because through feelings we create our reality. And without feeling happy, you cannot feel unhappiness, and vice versa. So I think we need to just embrace, and we need to live through whatever comes to our way, and we appreciate that we are alive. That's all. When it is nothing to believe and nothing to be kind of happy about this, just you can be on this street, but you're alive.
That's something that you need to tell yourself, but never tell it to other people. Never be
Yes,
like, you need to be happy where you are, because you don't know what
that's
that
right.
person is living through. But
Yeah, of
you can think
course.
about it for yourself and just change your viewpoint so that your world is a more beautiful place than you ever thought it was.
Yeah, but for others, what I would recommend, and I usually do, hug people and ask, what do you need or how I can help you? That's all. This is your kind of authority to that person. That's all.
Yeah,
Don't
you can
tell them what
always
to do.
You can always give kindness.
Yeah,
That's free. We have lots of kindness within us, and there's no need for us to keep it inside. Use your kindness. Use your power.
absolutely. Absolutely. So if you would love to share information where people can find those accessories, do you sell somewhere?
It's in stealth. It's in stealth. So it'll be available for purchase in about a year, and there's going to be a big announcement when it comes out.
Okay,
So
then
look
we
out.
will wait. Are you available, accessible? If
Yeah,
people
you can talk to me through LinkedIn or Instagram, and I'll give you those links.
wonderful. I will put this here. So thank you very much for a wonderful conversation and for your uplifting attitude, because this is what people need right now. And I'm sure everything will be okay with all of us if we believe in ourselves and we will be kind to ourselves and for others.
And love ourselves. It took me a long time to ever learn to, but I love myself now, and that's made my depression a lot better.
I'm so happy for you. So happy. Thank you. God
Yeah.
bless you.